Hey, Tammy. Some water. Hey, Tammy, you're founder of Yes to Kindness. It is shit. Hi. Hey, Tammy, your founder of Yes to Kindness. Welcome to the Yes to Kindness show. Today, we're going to talk about on days where you got to show up and you want to just hide behind your smile. I often say that you don't know what someone's hiding behind their smile or their scowl. And that's what makes mental health really hard. And it's what makes seeing the signs of suicide really hard. Because often I hear that a suicide happens and nobody saw it coming. They were smiling, laughing, joking, and then they go home and they're gone the next day. And I feel like sometimes we get conditioned in life to, only show up when we feel like it or when things are going perfect. And today it's a rough day and I could just cry because my life isn't going as I planned. And so I just want to talk to you about showing up when you're not okay. And like the moon, we don't always have to be a full moon. And sometimes all you are is a tiny thumbnail, and that's okay. And then like these moments of our life can just knock us out of the knees if we have an expectation of how life is going to go, and then it's suddenly different, and then our thoughts we think about life going differently than planned affect how we feel. And so it's good to smile and it's good to say I'm fine, and also it's okay to say I'm not really okay today. And if I could just go cry in the fetal position on my bed instead of doing this, I would. But I have committed and I want to do this and I want to share this message of hope, and not just when I feel like it and not just when things are perfect. And so, for anyone who's struggling today because your life, because your life isn't going as planned, I just want you to know that I feel you and I see you and I hear you. And it's so interesting that you can have a great day and one thing can happen and just take you out of the knees. And it's not even such a terrible thing. Like, nobody died. And it's just something I was looking forward to is not happening. And my reaction, I'm surprised by. I'm surprised that I'm so upset about this because plans change and things happen where people can't do what they say they're going to do. And it's so interesting that I'm not letting it stop me, and I'm not letting it put me in the fetal position or go do something destructive. I'm just pushing through and talking about kindness. So I was making notes today of all these ideas that I was having, and I'm way excited about this adventure, and I'm so excited that you're going to be here with me. And it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows, because talking about suicide and mental health is not always fun. On my list, I have, let me just give you a preview of what's to come. Where's my cards? These are some topics that I want to discuss. And I'm going to cut them into little papers, and then I'm going to put them in a jar, and I'm just going to draw one out. That's my plan. Um, so one topic I'm going to go over is this insatiable need to be wanted. I think so many of us are struggling with this idea of being wanted, being accepted as you are. And I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go over it's going to get worse. Some people, how people say it's going to get better. Well, I started telling my sisters the truth, and I would say, "Don't worry, sweetheart, it gets worse." Until one of them asked me to stop saying that because it was not encouraging them. But it's funny because it does get worse and it gets better and it's up and down and all around. So we'll go over that. We're going to go over the gifts that God gave you and just using those gifts to really capitalize on what you can give to this world. I want to talk about one thing my mentor, Greg Reed, says. He always says, what's common sense to you is genius to somebody else. So I have this struggle with the idea of pre-appreciation. I've talked about it so much. I already did a TED talk on it. I wrote a book. And so people want to know about it when they hear about it. But to me, it's old news because I've been talking about it for so many years. And so what you have to remember, your gift, your genius gift is genius to someone else because they're not living with it. They've never heard of it. And so we'll go into that. I'm going to tell you about the biggest kindness I ever received. Like I'm talking monetarily. And we'll go over the intentions of your heart and how sometimes your kindness fails and it's hard and you get hurt trying to help someone. I'm also going to go over imagine if we loved each other so freaking hard. I'm at an event today and the speaker said that. It's just like, let's just love each other so freaking hard. And getting to a point where we can love ourselves so freaking hard so that when things happen and things go wrong, then you just know that you're going to be okay. All right, we're going to go over what it's like in a psych ward. We're going to go over what it's like to be a soldier's wife. I was a soldier in Iraq and then I got to be a soldier's wife. And so I feel like I have a perspective that not very many people get. I'm going to give you a CPAP for your brain. That one's so exciting. We're going to go over at the helper's high. Of course, we have to talk about that. We're going to ask yourself we're going to go over asking yourself, how have I contributed to this situation? Sometimes it's easy to be a victim. It's easy to point out what others are doing wrong, but taking accountability for what we have done wrong. I'm going to go over my original TED Talk idea, which was I believe that kindness can stop suicide. And I applied the year before to give a TED Talk and it wasn't accepted. And I learned nothing. And I submitted the same TED Talk the same year. Anyway, I'll go over all of that. We'll go over how words can destroy and kill or motivate and inspire. Like words are so, so, so important. And we'll go over bitter or better. You decide. We're going to go over kindness, rejection, and that when you offer kindness and it's rejected and how that affects your ability to keep on trying to give kindness. Of course, I have to share my tasing story because I don't know a lot of people who have been tased twice. We'll go over my Africa story. Raise your hand if you've been to Africa by yourself. I want to meet you. I also want to address things like, when does a cheater stop being a cheater? When does a drunk stop being a drunk? Like, where's that point where you can stop calling yourself that? I want to go over casts and stitches and why getting mental health help is so much different than if you have a broken arm, you get a cast. If you have stitches, you get, if you have a cut, you get stitches. So we'll go over that. I'm going to talk about the suicide superhighway and how we need to create off ramps for each other. And of course, I'm going to talk about giving the ass a pass and how sometimes we have to let them take responsibility and stop justifying their cruel actions. I want to talk about connection before correction and also putting myself in danger on purpose because I spent so many years trying to kill myself. I don't have that fear that a lot of people have. I do a lot of things. And what I realized is I was putting myself in danger on purpose. And how I realized this is I was listening to another speaker speak and share her story. And I had never heard anyone say that. I thought I was unique. And so as we share our story and we see we're not that unique in our insanity, we set each other free. I also want to talk about live events and how live events have changed my life. And then I'm going to invite you to some live events that I have coming up. And so this is just some ideas we're going to go over on the show. And just so you know, my daughter is coming up with a new name. She says, Yes to Kindness Show is not catchy and it's too long. So thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you never know what someone's packing behind their smile or their scowl. And you are doing better than you think and more good than you know. You got this.